In the heart of the Arabian Peninsula, where deserts stretch endlessly and winds carry the whispers of forgotten centuries, stands a city that rose from sand and silence, to steel and skyline. This is Riyadh, the beating heart of modern Saudi Arabia. A city whose past is as dramatic as its present, and whose future seems to reach for the very edge of imagination. But to understand Riyadh, we must journey back, far beyond towers and highways, into the dust of time. To an age when tribes traveled by stars, and the desert was the only map they knew. Riyadh's story begins not with grandeur, but with gardens. Yes, gardens, for long before skyscrapers pierced the sky, this land was known as Hajj al-Yamama, an ancient settlement flourishing with palm groves and underground water channels. In a world defined by drought, this oasis was life itself. Caravans crossing the vast deserts of Arabia would stop here, seeking shelter, water, and the embrace of a land that seemed to bloom against all odds. For centuries, Hajj was a place of poets, traders, and warriors, a crossroads between the tribes of the north and the kingdoms of the south. The people who lived here belonged to a world where honor-shaped destiny and alliances were written in the shifting sands, but time is relentless. As the centuries passed, the once powerful Hajj splintered into smaller settlements. Among them was a village that would later become the core of a mighty capital, a settlement known as Riyadh, the Gardens. By the 15th century, Riyadh was still modest, a cluster of green spaces nourished by hidden waters. Yet something about this land held potential. Something waiting to awaken, and it did. In the 18th century, this chapter of Riyadh's story begins with a man, Imam Muhammad ibn Sa'd, and a vision that would reshape the Arabian Peninsula. In 1744, in the nearby town of Durrat, he formed an alliance with Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahhab, igniting a movement that would unify tribes, drive out corruption, and build a new state grounded in Islamic principles. The first Saudi state was born. Durrat became its capital, and in its shadow, Riyadh was beginning to stir. But history is rarely peaceful. Empires clash, and the rising Saudi power soon collided with the might of the Ottoman Empire. In 1818, the armies of Muhammad Ali Pasha crushed Durrat, leaving it in ruins. The dream flickered, but it did not die. The second Saudi state rose from the ashes, and this time its capital was Riyadh. But this era, too, was marked by conflict, family disputes, tribal rivalries, and political storms. The state eventually collapsed. The ruling family was exiled, and Riyadh, the city of gardens, fell under foreign control. Then came the moment that changed everything. The year was 1902. Before dawn, under a sky thick with silence, a young leader named Abdulaziz ibn Abdul Rahman al-Saud, later known as King Abdulaziz, approached the fortified walls of Riyadh with a small group of men that he was determined to reclaim his homeland, or fall upon its soil. The battle for Riyadh was swift, fierce, and legendary. The capture of the Mosmak fortress became a defining moment, not just for Abdulaziz, but for the entire Arabian Peninsula. From that moment, Riyadh was reborn. Over the next 3 decades, Abdulaziz united the tribes and regions of Arabia, weaving together a nation from lands long divided. In 1932, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia was proclaimed, and Riyadh became the heart of a new era. But the city you see today, the highways, the towers, the lights, that Riyadh began to emerge decades later. In the mid-20th century, Riyadh transformed from a walled desert town into a modern capital. The mud brick walls came down, roads replaced sand paths, electricity arrived, and as oil wealth flowed into the kingdom, Riyadh rapidly expanded outward, embracing modernity while holding tightly to its traditions. Neighborhoods grew, universities opened, government institutions rose from the ground. Mosques, markets, and schools filled the expanding horizon. By the 1970s and 80s, Riyadh had become one of the fastest growing cities on earth, a symbol of the kingdom's economic and political rise. And then came the age of the skyline, the kingdom's center tower, slicing through the sky like a silver blade, the Al Faisalia Tower, crowned with its iconic golden sphere, the King Abdullah Financial District, a futuristic city within a city. And now, Durrat Gate, Qiddiya, King Salman Park, The Line, and Vast Vision 2030 projects that will redefine Riyadh for generations to come. Today, Riyadh is not just a city. It is a statement, a declaration that from the quiet gardens of old, a global capital can rise. A city where heritage and innovation walk side by side, where ancient mud fortresses stand in the shadow of glass towers, where the call to prayer echoes across a landscape shaped by both history and ambition. Riyadh is a journey, from oasis to empire, from scattered villages to a unified nation, from fortified walls to limitless horizons. It is the story of resilience, of courage, of vision, of a people whose roots run deep into the desert, yet whose dreams reach far into tomorrow. And as the sun sets over this ever-growing city, casting long shadows across its evolving skyline, one truth becomes clear: Riyadh is not finished. It is only beginning.